Have you ever been surrounded by people you love, yet felt completely alone? Have you ever sat at a family table hearing laughter, seeing smiles, but inside your chest there was nothing but silence? Maybe even a little ache that you couldn't explain. It's a strange kind of loneliness. A loneliness that exists even when you're not physically alone. Maybe you know this feeling too well. You sit in a room full of your own family, but it feels like you're watching life from behind a glass wall. You hear them talk, but you don't feel included. You see their faces, but you don't feel seen. You're part of the picture, but not part of the connection. And because you can't explain it, you start to wonder, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel this way? But let me tell you something important. Nothing is wrong with you. This feeling is more common than you think, and it has a deep psychological root. For many people, loneliness isn't about being alone. It's about being unseen. It's about being unheard. It's about being emotionally disconnected from the people around you, even if they've known you your entire life. Sometimes you grow up in a family where people are physically present, but emotionally distant. They provide food, shelter, rules, routines, but emotional connection, understanding, and safety were not things they knew how to give. And so you learned early how to be quiet, how to stay small, how to hide your true feelings because they wouldn't be understood, or worse, dismissed. And now as an adult, you find yourself in moments where you should feel loved, but instead you feel invisible. You're surrounded yet isolated, included yet unknown. And you don't know how to explain this ache to anyone. Because how do you tell people that the place you're supposed to feel safest feels like the place you feel most alone? But here's the truth that so many people never hear. This loneliness isn't a weakness. It isn't a failure. It isn't a flaw in you. It is a signal, a message from your inner world telling you that something deeper needs attention. And once you understand the psychology behind this feeling, everything starts to make sense. The moments that confused you, the emotions that felt strange, the distance you couldn't explain. There are real human reasons behind why connection feels hard, even with the people who are closest to you. And in this journey, you're not broken. You're awakening to a deeper understanding of yourself, awakening to the truth that emotional connection is not automatic just because people share the same house or the same blood. It is something that must be built, nurtured, understood. Today, you're going to learn why this happens. You're going to understand the hidden emotional patterns that create loneliness in the middle of togetherness. And most importantly, you're going to learn how to break that cycle so you can start feeling truly connected again. Because you deserve that. You deserve to feel seen. You deserve to feel heard. You deserve to feel like you belong, not only in the room but in the hearts of the people around you. This is the beginning of understanding the loneliness you never talk about. This is the moment everything starts to make sense. Loneliness in the middle of family is not just an emotion. It is a psychological pattern built slowly over years. It begins with small moments that seem harmless, but over time shape the way you connect with the people around you. One of the biggest reasons you feel alone with family is emotional mismatch. You feel something deeply, but the people around you respond lightly. You want understanding, but they give advice. You want comfort, but they give correction. You want connection, but they give distance. And each time this happens, a part of you learns to shut down a little more. When you were younger, maybe you expressed your feelings, but those feelings were not welcomed. Maybe you were told to be strong, to stop crying, to not be sensitive. Maybe your worries were called overthinking. Maybe your voice was treated as noise instead of truth. And over time, your nervous system learned one thing. It is safer to stay silent. It is safer to stay hidden. It is safer to not need anything from anyone. This creates what psychologists call emotional withdrawal. You appear calm on the outside, but inside you are constantly monitoring yourself. You filter your words. You reduce your emotions. You make sure you don't become too much. And when you do this for years, it becomes a habit, a survival pattern. But survival patterns are lonely patterns. Another reason is emotional roles within a family. Some people become the strong one. Some become the quiet one. Some become the problem solver. Some become the invisible peacekeeper. These roles are created by family dynamics, not by your true personality. And the problem is, once you take on a role, people stop seeing the real you. They only see the version of you that fits their expectations. So when you sit with them now, they don't see your struggles. They don't see your longing for connection. They don't see the questions you carry in your chest. They just see the same role you've always played. and this creates a wall between your inner world and your outer life. Another layer is emotional safety. Connection requires safety, not physical safety, but emotional safety. Safety to speak honestly, safety to be imperfect, safety to be vulnerable. If your family did not create that safety, then your brain learned to protect you by pulling away emotionally. Your body can be in the room, but your heart cannot enter. Your mind can hear the voices, but it does not feel attached. Your smile can appear, but it is not fully alive. This is not your fault. This is psychology. This is conditioning. This is the result of years of emotional shaping that you never chose. Sometimes loneliness also comes from unmet emotional needs. Needs for validation, empathy, respect, understanding. When these needs are not met for a long time, your brain begins to numb itself. It builds emotional distance as a shield, and when you finally grow older, that shield remains even when you don't need it anymore. You might also feel alone because you've grown. You've changed. You think differently now. You want deeper conversations, more honesty, more emotional presence, but the people around you are still the same. They talk about small things, surface things, daily routines, and your mind craves depth. Your heart craves connection. But the gap between what you need and what they give makes you feel misunderstood. This is why you sit in a room full of family and feel like a stranger. This is why you smile but feel empty. This is why your heart stays quiet even when the room is loud. It is not a lack of love. It is a lack of emotional alignment. And now as you hear this, something inside you might be whispering, "That's me." Yes, because these patterns are real, and they explain what you've been carrying for so long without words. But understanding is only the beginning. Next, you'll learn how to transform this feeling, not by forcing others to change, but by changing the way you see yourself, your emotions, and your place in your own story. When you understand the real reason behind your loneliness, you unlock the power to rise above it. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize something important. You cannot control how emotionally available your family is, but you can control the way you understand yourself. This is the breakthrough. This is the shift that begins to free you from the loneliness you've been carrying. For so long you believed something was wrong with you. You believed you were the quiet one, the distant one, the strange one who didn't fit in. You believed your loneliness meant you lacked something others naturally had. But the truth is far simpler and far kinder. You did not learn loneliness because you were weak. You learned loneliness because you adapted. Your heart protected you by building walls when connection felt unsafe. Your mind shielded you when your feelings were too heavy for others to hold. You did not choose these patterns. These patterns chose you out of survival. And now you stand at a point in your life where those old patterns no longer serve you. They once protected you, but today they limit you. This is where transformation begins. You must begin to see loneliness not as a personal failure, but as a message, a sign that your heart is craving deeper connection than what you were taught to accept. A sign that your emotional needs were never the problem, only unheard. A sign that you are evolving beyond the emotional language of your past. Think of it like this. If a plant grows in a small pot, it becomes root-bound. The roots curl inward, tight and restricted. But when the plant is finally moved into open soil, it doesn't expand right away. It hesitates, it adjusts slowly. Not because it's incapable of growth, but because it is experiencing freedom for the first time. You are that plant. Your loneliness is not a sign that you can't connect. It is a sign that you're finally ready to. Here is another truth. You do not feel alone because you lack people. You feel alone because you lack emotional resonance. You are longing for conversations that have weight, relationships that have depth, moments that feel alive. Your heart is searching for something real, something that perhaps did not exist in your home environment. But that does not mean you cannot create it now. You can, and it starts with reframing your story. Instead of saying, "My family cannot meet my emotional needs," tell yourself, "I am learning what my emotional needs actually are." Instead of saying, "Oh, I feel like a stranger around them," tell yourself, "I am becoming someone new and they may not understand that yet." Instead of saying, "Well, I don't belong here," tell yourself, "My belonging may be waiting somewhere beyond what I've known." Loneliness loses power the moment you see it clearly. It loses power the moment you name the patterns quietly shaping your life. It loses power the moment you understand that emotional distance in a family does not define your worth. You are not weak for wanting connection. You are not dramatic for craving understanding. You are not wrong for needing emotional presence. You are human and your needs are human. The breakthrough is this. You cannot heal by demanding others see you. You heal by learning to see yourself first. You heal by acknowledging your feelings, giving them the space they never had, allowing your heart to breathe again. When you understand yourself, you become capable of building the connection you always wanted, whether with family, friends, or new people who meet you with the emotional depth you deserve. And in that moment, something shifts. The loneliness begins to fade, not because your world changed, but because you changed inside it. You are not alone because you're unlovable. You are alone because you've outgrown a version of emotional life that no longer fits you. This is your awakening. This is your turning point. Now comes the most important part of your journey. You've understood the feeling. You've named the patterns. You've seen the truth behind your loneliness. And now it's time to rise from it. Because you are not meant to stay trapped behind emotional walls. You are not meant to sit quietly in rooms where your heart feels invisible. You are not meant to shrink yourself just to fit the expectations of others. You are meant to grow. You are meant to connect. You are meant to feel alive. And that begins with one courageous step. Start choosing connection with yourself before connection with anyone else. Look inward. Listen to the feelings you used to silence. Give space to the emotions you once pushed away. When you acknowledge your inner world, you begin to rebuild the relationship that matters most, the one you have with you. When you treat yourself with understanding, you no longer chase it from others. When you give yourself emotional safety, the loneliness starts to loosen its grip. When you become honest with your own heart, it becomes easier to be honest with the people around you. The second step is this: allow yourself to connect with others at your own pace. Not with forced closeness, not with fake smiles, but with real moments, honest words, small openings in the armor you've worn for years. Maybe you start by sharing one feeling that you usually hide. Maybe you make space for a deeper conversation once a week. Maybe you seek relationships outside your family that match the depth you crave. This is not betrayal, this is expansion. You are allowed to create emotional connections that were not available in your childhood. You are allowed to build a life full of people who truly see you. And here's the truth. The loneliness you feel today is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your growth. It is a sign that your heart is ready for something bigger than the emotional world you grew up in. It is proof that you are evolving. You're not the quiet one. You're not the distant one. You're not the outsider. You are the one waking up. You are the one breaking the generational pattern of emotional silence. You are the one brave enough to want more and seek more. And that makes you powerful. So today, take this message with you. You deserve connection that feels warm, safe, and real. You deserve conversations that touch your soul. You deserve relationships where your presence matters and your feelings count. You deserve to feel held, not just physically but emotionally. And you have the strength to build that life for yourself. Do not let loneliness convince you that you are hard to love. You are not hard to love. You are just ready for a deeper kind of love, one that meets you where you truly are, not where your past forced you to be. So walk forward with courage, walk forward with self-respect. Walk forward with the understanding that you are worthy of the connection you crave. This is your moment. This is your turning point. This is where your new chapter begins. Stand tall, speak your truth. Open your heart and step into the life where you are no longer unseen, but finally fully emotionally alive. You are not alone, you are growing, and the world is waiting for the real you.